So let's be clear. This podcast, this episode is us kind of having a bit of a chat and like guessing. We are just completely guessing. We don't know, but
Yeah, we just said
we
it's an
both have
observation.
yeah, we both have noticed that ghosting is becoming a lot rarer. And when let's define terms. When we talk about ghosting, we mean like she just randomly stops fucking texting you. We're not
Hmm.
talking about, she sends you a message and says, "Hey, I had fun, but I don't want to do this anymore." That's not ghosting. We're saying ghosting where it's like I don't know if this is the right word, like that rude. It feels rude. It's just like she doesn't fucking text you and you're like, "Hey, what's up? Like how come like are we seeing each other again?" And she just doesn't reply. That
Hmm.
shit has happened so much less over the last couple of years. I I do wonder if a lot of it is because we're way more upfront and honest. I think me especially, I used to be very dishonest. I was doing a lot of that red pill pickup artist stuff where I was like leading them on. I wasn't like being on the same page as them. I wasn't telling them up front that I was looking for something casual and shit. And so I think a lot of the ghosting was probably a self-protection method. It was like, I think this guy's a fuck boy. He's not letting me in and telling me what he wants. He's not being fully honest. Um, so I'm going to back away and ghost him because I don't want to fucking get hurt. Obviously, we're not in the minds of the women that ghost us because that's the point. They kind of don't fucking reply and they don't tell you why, even if you ask. But yeah, ghosting really hasn't happened anymore to me for quite a while.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing was, I primarily think that our approach means that we're not screening in girls that would as well. That is something to be
Yeah.
said. I'm also personally going for less girls who I don't want to be mean, but like when I was dating a lot of like bartenders and nightlife girls, that was very common to happen. That was a
Yeah,
very
like
common thing that would happen.
party scene girls.
I don't even like just, what I mean? It's just the girls I was going for were, it's like, am I aiming for people that are going to ghost me? Do you know what I mean? Like that was another thing. It's like, I'm hunting the type of girls that are going to not feel too bad about ghosting because it's a natural part of how they date. So there is a degree of like our approach and our screening maybe heading towards those kind of girls less. I also would suggest it may be a societal thing, but I have less certainty when I try and make these like these big like
I try
assessments
not
of
to because
society.
I feel like,
Yeah,
yeah, we live in
there are
certain
lots of people
bubbles and
there are lots of people trying to do that. Lots of people who have very big content platforms who are trying to do that. And every time I watch them, I'm like, are you considering the fact that you may be wrong? Because you sound very sure of yourself. That's across
yeah.
everyone of any philosophy or any like political persuasion. That just doesn't sound. They never sound like they're full of a lot of humility, or that they may be bad at predicting, or they may be bad at analysis. Their entire thing is built on a surety that they're correct. And yeah, that comes across maybe with some of our stuff as well if we're talking about like dating and like our thoughts on how to like approach this stuff. But if I'm going to be that guy for a second, it does seem like, especially online, so we mostly are on online dating, people who are in online spaces are nicer to each other, are more considerate to each other than by comparison maybe like 5 to 10 years ago. Maybe because it was a bit more of a Wild West situation like in the past in terms of the online. So it might be that people have just become more aware that it kind of sucks for everyone's mental health if you act like that. And like, that might be something that's improved. And that's a really good thing. And I would like to be optimistic, especially about like humanity online and, especially about women. You want to be optimistic about the dating pool you're going into. We've said this before. We don't want to be going into our dating pool hating the girls,
Yeah,
like
resenting.
that's why it's big to get over. If people have a hatred of women and they want to date a lot, we recommend that you get over it. We recommend that you find ways to be positive about the prospective girls you're going to date. And one of those areas of positivity I feel right now is that I've just experienced a lot more openness and a lot more way more girls texting me the truth when they feel
Mm.
like they don't want to go any further or they want to end things. Because I remember sending your so context here. Andy has a how to break up with girls, break up with guys, how to break up with girls guide. And when I used to send those text messages, because obviously it's not just me, ending things with girls. It's not just girls ending things with me. I also end things with girls, and I would send those messages, and sometimes girls would be like super thankful. They'd be like, "Oh my god, so
Yeah.
thank you so much for sending
Thank you
this."
for not ghosting me. Yeah.
Exactly. But now it just seems to feel like a lot more natural to send those sort of messages, to send the "Hey, I'm not feeling it." hey, I didn't feel the spark. Hey, you know, I mean, that those kind of messages, they feel a very natural part of online dating now, and maybe also just dating in general. So I do feel like there is something in the air. That's the way I would describe it. You know, something in a more the general collective behavior has shifted. But
I'd
yeah, that's only
zoom
from
in.
my position and your position.
Yeah, my personal opinion. I don't even have an opinion. That's kind of the point. I try not to zoom out too much with stuff like this because I don't know what fucking society is doing. I'm too much of in a bubble, you know, in a bubble of honesty, in a bubble of like
Yeah, and we don't know
that
what
kind of
like
shit.
18-year-olds are doing to each other and stuff like that. We're like a
18-year-olds
generation
might comment
removed.
on this and be like, bro, are you guys kidding? Like people are ghosting more because
Yeah,
that's
like
just
really
their
young
bubble that
people who
they're
we
in.
just have we have no connection to men that like guys that
Because
age
we
really.
screen that shit out, like we said. If there are women that are more likely to ghost, and you can't predict, but like you get a sense. Like for instance, here's a couple of things that I look out for. You know, if she's really good at scheduling, like, and she uses a calendar and she seems to be organized and she has a job and she can be on time on a date, I'm like, okay, she's probably not going to ghost. I can't. It's not 100%. Versus, and this is why I said party girls, and nothing against people that go to a lot of parties, but if someone's going to a party Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, and you know spending the next 3 days recovering from that, yeah, that's like the person who might just forget about you because they're busy. Their life is a bit hectic and their life is a bit crazy. I don't even blame them. Like, there's no resentment there.
They don't
And
have
so when I
energy for
meet,
you.
yeah, yeah,
That's kind of the
yeah, because
problem. When they're
their life is all
hungover,
over the place.
yeah, if
Yeah,
they're
their life
hungover and
is,
they have to be everywhere, they're like, okay, I have no energy to even deal with this guy and send him a
yeah,
message.
I'm just gonna
Like,
ghost. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, and the
yeah,
scene that they're in, and this applies to men as much as women who are in those sort of party scenes, you're just constantly meeting hundreds of people a night. It's like your interactions with people are a little bit less deep, generally speaking. I'm generalizing, but generally speaking. Versus the, like, if I have some nerdy Asian bookworm girl who has like 5 friends that she's been loyal to and friends with for the last like 10 years, yeah, that girl's probably not going to ghost me. The conservative girl is probably not going to ghost me compared to the person who's a little bit more, not hedonistic, but just like meeting a lot of people. So there's certain things you can look out for. And I think that's had a big impact on it for me. I think in your case, you know, you talking about like, I think in your case, it's a hell of a lot of like the fact that you're honest and upfront now. You're saying, you know, girls are more honest with me. It's because you're going first. Like you're laying that pathway and saying, hey, look, I'm going to be honest. I can't be bothered playing games. It comes across in the things you say. It comes across in the text that you send. It comes across in your vibe. Like literally, and this is the thing I think people don't fully understand until you've experienced this. And I talk about this all the goddamn time in my content, but like your entire fucking vibe is different when you embrace honesty, when you embrace the fact that you don't have to be a perfect alpha male, when you just say, hey, look, I might suck at this, that's okay. Literally, your vibe is different. Your shoulders relax. Literally, people can fucking tell. They might not know why, but they can tell something is different about you. They can literally see you relaxing. And so they will treat you different, especially if they ask you a question. And instead of you being cagey, like we often are when we're trying to do the pickup artist stuff or the, you know, like the red pill stuff, we're often cagey. We'll avoid the question. We'll try and give like an alpha male Chad answer. We'll, you know, we won't answer certain questions. We'll always have like a cocky response to everything. And that stuff's fun. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that stuff, but that is a different vibe. That's you not quite letting the other person in because it's almost like you have a wall or a defense the entire time. As opposed to if you're a little bit more like what we're like these days and what we sort of encourage a lot of you to try, if you just drop the games and just be purely like authentically yourself, and by the way, if you don't like yourself, then improve yourself. But when you can just be yourself, she can immediately sees, oh, he's not playing games. There's no fucking wall. Like she asks you a question and you just say the answer, even if it's not maybe the answer that would have been perfect. You just say the fucking truthful answer. She goes, oh, wow, you're not afraid to just be authentic. Okay, I guess I'm not going to ghost you because you're letting me in. And so and especially because we go first with honesty. And sometimes I will even preempt and say like, look, you know, you and I will keep seeing each other for as long as we're both having fun. If that ever changes, that's cool. We can talk about it. I literally say that. So I'm literally saying,
that's the best. That's the best mindset on it. That's the best thing to say to them. It's like, as long as we're having fun, we'll keep seeing each other because it's like,
yeah. And if we're not, we'll
there's
talk
like
about it.
there's like no pressure on them at all to, if they feel like they want to end it, there's no pressure because you've given the terms of like that agreement, you know.
And you've
not the girls
we can
will
talk about it. Like
not the girls necessarily. Not the girls necessarily listen to those words, but they listen. Your action also like backs up what you're saying. That's important. You can't just say stuff. that's the thing with girls. You can't really just say things and expect them to hang on the words of what you say. You also have to like actually act as if that's the case too.
I mean,
So if you're
I guess
saying
you could say that about humans. Like humans look at your actions and see, do your actions match your words, or are you
yeah,
just saying things that
but
sound good?
like yeah, but like I think it's done with girls to go back 6 months to something you said 6 months ago. You have to like actually behave like that as well.
Okay,
You know what I
correct.
mean?
Yeah.
It's just, if you stop, if a girl suddenly like starts an argument with you and you're like, well, 6 months ago I said exactly this and you should have remembered that, you know what I mean, as a contract about our, you know, that's really dumb. Like I know when guys do that, like they think they said it once. And that's why we and you talk about reinforcing. Sorry, we're getting on a tangent here, but like, yes, that's like about like reinforcing what you say with your actions and your general, like keeping it consistent. I do think there's a degree of like, you and I have matured probably in our interactions as well, like our emotional maturity as well, that kind of thing.
With
So
women, yeah.
girls aren't going to, yeah, no girl is going to think that you or I are going to blow up at them over it.
Correct.
Yeah. And like there
Yeah,
are guys
whereas,
out
yeah,
there,
you're right.
even if you're being, this is a thing, okay? Honesty doesn't mean you're going to be mature. Like becoming honest doesn't mean you're automatically going to become mature. It's kind of something that you have to gain a bit more like emotional stability and things like that. We will encourage guys to be more honest, but it's not a cheat code to like peace and happiness, you know, immediately anyway. It's just how we want you to act. So there are going to be guys out there who are going to be honest.
Let me jump in and add one extra caveat there. A lot of people, they're being honest, and I love that. I fucking love when guys and girls first start being honest, but they're doing it almost to get something. They're doing it as like a tactic. And I'm not saying they're manipulative or anything, but in their mind, they're like, okay, if I be honest, then I get the thing. And it's like with that kind of, and that's just your first idea about honesty. That's your first
Honesty is a strategy.
attempt.
Yes.
They're doing honesty to like get something, and then if they don't get something, you're right, there's almost like a frustration there, or they're like, fuck, like did I do the honesty wrong? And women can obviously pick up on that, and it's okay to be like that. I was like that at the start. I was like, if I'm more honest, will I get the thing I want? And at some point that honesty sort of matures to a point where you're like, no, I'm just honest because that's who I am. I don't care if I get the thing that I want. If I don't get it with you, I'll get it with someone else. That's like the more later term honesty, the maturity, the honesty without any need, honesty with complete, outcome independence and detachment. And that takes you a little while to build. So I love that you called honesty separate from like emotional maturity.
Yeah.
Like,
it's just
they are
because
separate things.
because we can say be honest, but you can have an honest reaction which involves you blowing up to a text that a girl sends because you are honestly
We've had that
angry.
conversation so
Yeah.
many times. Guys are like,
Yeah.
well, does being honest mean that I tell her that she's a fat, stupid piece of shit? And it's like, I mean, that would be honest, but like, is that kind? Like, and how do you feel if you do that? You can try that and see how you feel. So yeah, they are two sort of separate things.
Yeah. But like, as I said, like girls aren't going to ghost us fearing a reaction is what is like kind of my point there as well. Yeah. That's the other thing I would say. But that kind of sums up, I think, all of the angles I would think that is the reasons for this. So yeah.
I wonder how many girls ghost because they're scared that the guy won't take it well.
They just want to get away from that guy. They just want to get away from that guy and just not have any more contact. There is a safety. I do think there's a safety thing with ghosting sometimes. Like
I do. Yep. 100%.
Yeah. Because we say this as well.
I don't think the chick is just a bitch. I don't ever think that.
Not in relationships, but we've said this before where someone has been, case in point, I'm not going to mention his name or anything like that, but coaching client living with an abusive housemate. Yeah, and essentially it was like cut off all contact and get out of there. It's not ghosting, it's just safety of like cut off all contact, get away. And that's an area of like where some guys, I don't want to, probably not in our audience, but like there'll be guys out there who have been ghosted because she was scared, and that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But
and she might not be scared of you. It might just be she's she's sent a breakup text to some other guy in the past, and he's gone like, "Fuck you, bitch! Like, how dare you? Like, after everything I gave you." And she's like, "Well, okay, I can't handle that. Next time, if I'm not 100% sure that he's gonna take it well, I will just like back off." And yeah, you're right. I used to get ghosted so fucking much compared to now. I used to get ghosted like quite a lot. Whereas I feel like it's been years since I got ghosted now. It's probably not been years. Like it probably has happened, but it just no, I don't even think it's happened because all the times that I can think of, it's happened one time in the last 2 years that I can think of, and I can think exactly the girl. All the other times it's like, hey, look, listen, I don't want to do this, or there's this other guy. They'll even be more honest about it now. They'll be like, look, there's this other guy that I have feelings for. I work with him. I've liked him for 2 years. I really like you. I really like Imogen, but I think I want to like see where it goes with this guy. Awesome, great, I appreciate that. So I feel like the honesty thing definitely helps, like being honest first.
Yeah, I guess if guys want to try and get to the the level where they're not getting ghosted a lot, maybe they want to be able to handle the occasions when they do get ghosted. Well, we can give them some direct hands-on help if they're looking for it,
This
Andy?
is like literally half the shit that we help people with in the coaching game.
Yeah. Yeah. So would you like to explain how they can have a look at our coaching?
Join the fucking coaching, sluts, and we will change your fucking life. There's a link in the description below. If you don't click that, you're going to get ghosted forever. If you do click that, you will never get ghosted again. How's that?
I gave you the best segue, and you just sat there and got really like introspective about it. Check the links below if you want to have a look at coaching with us.
We can't promise we will completely eliminate ghosting. All disclaimers apply. We will love you very much, and we will pour our heart and soul into coaching you, and you will have an amazing time, and your life will be radically different. Pun intended. Link in the description below. Namaste.